EECMS is introducing the first virtual employment equity compliance solution by taking your consultant online. Clients are no longer required to conduct face-to-face meetings with our consultants. Our virtual solution will allow clients from around the globe to interact, consult, and train with their respective consultants from the comfort of their own desk. With our web-based compliance services, your employment equity solution submissions and consultations will stay compliant as per the requirements of the Act, no matter where you are based. No more traveling or boardroom bookings. We bring the service to your desktop. Conduct conference calls with remotely based colleagues and superiors during the consult. Share live documents or screens to all attendees and consultants for brainstorming or clarification sessions. Audio-visually record meeting discussions between yourselves and the consultant for references and notes. Join the web-based consultancy services today and comply with your employment equity services from the comfort of your own desk. Speak to your consultant for more information or contact our information center for details on the services rendered. EECMS, your virtual employment equity compliance management service. EECMS utilizes an online tool to ensure full and total EE compliance as per the amended Act. We ensure that you are in full compliance with the Employment Equity Act. We do it all. You just need to connect with us as we aim to become your go-to guy. We meet and consult via our virtual solutions. We implement the Act, and you achieve compliance. Employers with over 50 employees. Agriculture over 6 million turnover, mining over 22.5 million turnover, manufacturing over 30 million turnover, electricity, gas and water over 30 million turnover, construction over 15 million turnover, retail and motor over 45 million turnover and more. Eliminate penalties. Increase a triple BEE score, forming a sense of belonging to employees. Effective transformation. And promoting diversity. We submit the EEA2 and EEA4 reports on behalf of our clients, after approval thereof by the CEO or accounting officer. EECMS has a Level 4 broad-based Black Economic Empowerment rating. Our clients therefore qualify for 100% recognition when procuring from us. Our CEO has been involved in various marketing and communication entities. We have various EE specialists, including a compliance auditor with 3 years' experience at one of the Big 4 auditing firms. Our team has been involved in 62 DG reviews from 2017 to September 2019, with a 100% pass rate of companies not being referred to the Labour Court. Submissions of reports are done by a number of experienced data capturers, and we have a staff complement to ensure the successful submissions of all our clients. We currently serve more than 160 companies who employ anything between 6,000 to 12,500 employees. Our client base includes private companies, listed companies, close corporations, non-profit organizations, educational institutions, and government. Clients' annual turnover ranges from very little to more than 1 billion rand, and we have a client base throughout South Africa. EECMS, your virtual employment equity compliance management service.
Good morning, everyone. Again, thanks a lot for everyone participating today. I see there's currently 202 companies that joined the workshop for today in the webinar. As mentioned before, my name is Pieter. I'm from a company called EECMS, a company dealing with employment equity, ensuring that all our clients are in compliance with employment equity legislation so that they do not receive penalties should they be investigated by the Department of Employment and Labour. Just to start off with, remember, it used to be the Department of Labour, the DOL, that changed during 2019. Okay, currently it's the DEL, meaning the Department of Employment and Labour. Again, once we have done this meeting, we will give it through to our producers, asking them just to put it in a nice format so that we can place it onto YouTube. Feel free to go to our YouTube channel. How does it work? You just go onto YouTube, you search for EECMS, we will pop up and you click on our logo, you subscribe. Once you have subscribed, you will have access to all our videos. Okay, hopefully everyone will be able to see the presentation on your side. So let's start with the session. Employment equity. Information and training session on the summary of the Employment Equity Act, number 55 of 1998, the amendment and the regulations. Okay, please bear in mind, the Act has been in existence since 1998. Also introducing the Employment Equity Bill, the Employment Equity Amendment Regulations as per 2018. Okay, so what's the purpose of the Act? The purpose of the Act is to achieve equity in the workplace by promoting equal opportunity and fair treatment employment through the elimination of unfair discrimination. It's also to implement affirmative action measures to redress the disadvantages in employment of designated groups. Okay, so ladies and gents, when we talk about achieving equity in the workplace, what are we referring to? Okay, we are referring to there as your entire workforce. In other words, when we look at your workforce, we are referring to all your employees from top management down to unskilled. In other words, all your employees, top management, senior management, middle management, junior management, semi-skilled and unskilled. Okay, so the Department of Employment and Labour and the legislation would like companies to strive towards achieving equity in the workplace. Equity in the workplace meaning between the various races and genders, African, Indian, colored and white males. Same goes for African, Indian, colored, white females. The department would like to see that companies work towards the highest underrepresented races and genders pertaining to the latest EAP statistics, economically active population. Okay, which is something that I will get to later in the presentation. Designated groups, who are included in this piece of act? Designated groups include all your African males, African females, colored males, colored females, Indian males, Indian females, white females, as well as your disabled. Okay, you will find that white females are still included. Okay, remember this is not the BEE Act, it's employment equity, it's a whole separate legislation. White females still included. Designated groups exclude the following: white males and foreign nationals. Okay, please colleagues remember, the purpose of the EE Act is not to get rid of your white males. It's not to fire your white males. It is merely the fact that should a white male maybe retire 2 or 3 years from now, for the company to see where they could possibly maybe see a white male might retire 3 years from now, identify in that particular occupational level the highest underrepresented race and gender, and then for the company to try your best to see that you either promote and or employ the specific highest underrepresented race and gender into that level. Who needs to comply? All companies employing 50 or more people, you need to comply. You can also at this point in time volunteer to comply. Bottom line, when you employ more than 50 people, you are deemed a designated employer and you need to comply with the employment equity legislation pertaining what we are discussing today. That being said, please remember, colleagues, should you employ less than 50 people, you need to identify the industry that you operate in. Verify your total annual turnover. Let's assume you operate in the agri industry and your number of employees are, let's assume, 10 people, but your turnover is 7 million rand, which is more than the 6 million rand per annum, then you are also deemed a designated employer, irrelevant of the number of employees. The same goes for mining and quarrying. If your turnover is more than 22.5 million per annum, you are deemed designated, irrelevant of the number of employees. Manufacturing, 30 million, electricity, gas, water, 30 million, construction, 15, transport, 30, finance, 30, community, etc., 15. Okay. Also remember, I will indicate after my presentation today where you will be able to obtain the presentations as well as the relevant policies. Prohibition of unfair discrimination. Can no person unfairly discriminate against an employee in any policy or in practice. Discrimination could be based on any of the following grounds: race, gender, pregnancy, marital status, color, sexual orientation, age, disability, HIV status, the list goes on, conscious belief, etc. Surely and hopefully by now, everyone that joined this meeting, all the 206 give or take participants, would be quite aware of what is allowed and what is not allowed pertaining to discrimination in your workplace. Medical testing. Medical testing is permissible, but only when legislation requires the testing or when it's justifiable for various reasons. Okay, that would typically be pertaining to the Health, Safety and Environmental Act, where if you maybe work in a mining industry, you work underground, the company could force you to undergo, they call it the red card. So regularly you'd go for lung capacity tests. Females are being tested for whether they are pregnant or not, because once a female becomes pregnant, she will not be allowed to work underground, etc. Okay, so that is permissible when it's justifiable for various reasons. HIV testing, on the other hand, is completely prohibited unless it's determined to be justifiable by the labor court. Okay, so in other words, I think when it comes to HIV, typically in the medical industry, when you work in a hospital, maybe working as a paramedic, when you work in the ICU department, etc., then HIV testing and regular HIV testing will not be prohibited. Your employer could request regular testing. Okay, so how does it work? There might be a couple of companies attending here today, maybe in an inspection or investigation, or maybe within a DG review. If you have questions on your particular circumstance in terms of DG reviews, you will be able to ask me after my presentation. As you have seen, it's actually now more than 62 DG reviews that we have attended to. We have a 100% pass rate. So all companies that's under DG investigations, we know what we talk about when it comes to those investigations. But how does it work? You have the Department of Employment and Labor. Okay, so you have the Minister of Labor, Mr. Tulas, and then you have the Director General, Mr. Dlamini. Okay, and that person has authority to appoint hundreds of inspectors throughout South Africa. Those inspectors go out to companies, they visit companies, and they request certain information. That information would be pertaining to employment equity and your compliance thereof. And if the inspector finds that your company is maybe not in compliance with certain sections of the legislation, the inspector has one of three possible scenarios. Number one, the inspector could provide your company with an undertaking to comply, saying, you know what, we are allowing you 60 days to get your house in order. Or the inspector can give you a compliance order allowing your company 14 days to get your house in order pertaining to employment equity. And the third one is for certain things that's not in place, the inspector has the authority to refer your company to the labor court immediately. What sections would that be? If your company, and you can maybe make a note of this, if your company does not have an EAP analysis as per section 19, and I'll get to that, that could result in an immediate referral to the labor court. If your company does not have an employment equity plan, it's a separate document as per section 20, in the format of the EA13, you do not submit it to the Department of Employment and Labor. It's a separate document in your EE file called the Employment Equity Plan. If you do not have that separate document, it could result in an immediate referral to the labor court. And number three, if your company did not submit the relevant reports to the Department of Employment and Labor, either manually or online portal, it could result in an immediate referral to the labor court. Okay, for those three sections. I'll get to the other sections just now as well. Review by the DG. Bottom line with regards to this slide, the Director General may conduct a review to determine your EE compliance, and the Director General and the inspectors has the authority to enter your premises, to request a meeting, to even have interviews, obtain your hard copy documents. Please remember, whenever there is a DG review and or investigation, do not give your original file to the department's inspector. Make copies so that you retain your original file. Okay, so your company, if you are deemed designated, you need to comply with section 16, 17, 19, 20, it goes down to 44B. I'll get to the meanings of those sections just now. Penalties. Okay, colleagues, what are the penalties? No previous contravention of the Employment Equity Act. Non-compliance with section 16, 17, 19, etc. up to 43/2, it could result in a penalty of 1.5 million rand. If your company is also non-compliant with section 20, 21, 23 or 44B, it could result in an additional 1.5 million or 2% of turnover, whichever is the highest. Bottom line, for total non-compliance, you're looking at a minimum penalty, possible penalty of 3 million rand. Okay, so what happened about a year and a half, 2 years ago? 21 companies received these steep penalties, of which 11 of them were JSE listed companies, the other 10 were major corporates. And some companies decided, you know what, let's budget for the penalties. Bob's your uncle, there's a check of 3 million rand. Thank you very much. We will settle and we pay the penalty. So the previous minister, Mildred Oliphant, actually realized that there are certain companies budgeting for these penalties. So what happens now? If you have one previous contravention of the Act, the Department of Employment and Labour can be back and say, thank you very much for the 3 million rand. Now you have one previous contravention and it is another 1.8 million plus 1.8 million or 4% of turnover. Let's write another check of 3.6 million. The department can be back. Another 2.1 plus 2.1 or 6% of turnover. Let's pay that. Be back. Another 2.4 plus 2.4, 8% of turnover, going down to 5.4 million or 10% of turnover, whichever is the highest of. Okay, colleagues, something that I need to mention to you out of a practical point of view. When we had a meeting with the directorate in 2014, when this act was basically drafted and amended, we said, Robert, you know, we're sitting in a scenario where, what do we do? I mean, companies won't be able to afford these penalties, especially with this situation and the economic circumstances, having the COVID-19, etc. At this point in time, the last thing that you want to do is to give a company a penalty, because according to me, and that's maybe just my personal opinion, if a company receives a penalty of 3 million rand, one of two things could happen if they need to pay out that amount to the National Revenue Fund. Either the company could close down, number of employees losing their jobs. In other words, according to me, again, my personal feeling, it's a contradiction in terms of the objective of the Act. We're going to promote an equal opportunity and employment and etc., etc. If you get that penalty, either one of two things. Company closes down, people lose jobs, or company pay the penalty, does not close down. But my personal feeling that I've seen in the market and in practice is that where will the company cut costs first? It will be on wages and salary. Okay, so the directorate then did explain to EECMS that he said, Peter, you know what? Please remember one thing, and I'm quoting, we as the department, we are not there to chase money. Okay, we are there to try and enforce compliance. Okay, so what we've seen in practice is that if you undergo an inspection or a DG review, remain with the timelines, give the department, amend your plan, do whatsoever the DG recommendations were, ensure that your house is in order, and the chance of your company being referred for penalties would be quite unlikely. Okay, so let's look at the sections. Section 13 of the Act stipulates that a designated employer, you will have to implement affirmative action measures for designated groups. You have to consult with employees as per Section 16. I will get to that. When you conduct your EAP analysis, I will get to that. And when you do your EE plan, I will also get to that. Section 15, designated employers. You have to implement affirmative action measures intended to ensure that suitably qualified employees from designated groups have equal opportunity and are equitably represented on all occupational levels. Colleagues, again, what we have seen with the Department of Employment and Labour, they keep on hammering companies on the underrepresented races and genders pertaining to EAP statistics, economically active population. So gone are the days where you can say, you know what, but the majority of our top senior, middle and junior management are non-designated, but we have thousands of employees being designated on our semi-skilled and unskilled level. If you look at the EAP statistics, the latest for, just as an example, for African males, as at April 2020, is 42.8%. So the Department of Employment and Labour would like companies to strive towards employing or having an actual of 42.8% African males in top management and in senior management and in middle management and junior management and semi-skilled and unskilled. Section 16 and 17 of the Act. Okay, designated employers. You have to take reasonable steps to consult with the representatives of employees representing the diverse interests of the workforce when you do your analysis, your HR policies, and your EE plan and submission of your EI2 report. Okay, as you can see here for section 16, if you do not have an employment equity committee, that could result in a referral to the Labour Court for 1.5 million rand penalty. The constituency of your EE committee has to be as follows to be in compliance. On senior management, you have to have a representative representing senior management employees. On middle management, you have to have a middle manager representing middle management employees. On junior management, you must have at least one representative representing junior manager. Semi-skilled, one representative representing the semi-skilled, and unskilled, one representative representing unskilled. Then, on top of that, and this is quite imperative to understand, not being allowed to be the same person that's already in your committee. You must have an additional African male representing African males, an additional colored male representing colored males. Not allowed to be the person that's representing middle management or junior management or semi-skilled. An additional separate colored male representing colored males. An additional Indian male representing Indian males. White male representing white males. An additional African female representing African females. Colored female representing colored females. Indian female representing Indian females. White female representing white females. Okay, so please bear in mind, it goes without saying, if your company does not employ any Indian males, you will not have an Indian male in your committee representing Indian males. Okay, then you won't have any Indian male in your committee. So, number one, you have one person at least at senior, one at middle, one at junior, one at semi-skilled, one at unskilled. It's already 5 people. Those people representing the specific occupational level. Then you have an additional African, Indian, colored, white male. So now you're standing on 9 people in your committee, and an additional African, Indian, colored, white female. Therefore, you have 13 people already in your committee. Should you employ a disabled person, you have to have a disabled member in your committee representing the disabled. Should your company be unionized, preferably you will have at least one union representative and or shop steward in your committee representing also the union members. Okay, the constituency of your EE committee is extremely important because what we have seen in practice, should an inspector do an investigation, the first question is your the constituency of your committee in line with the legislation? And if not, they will tell you, they meaning now the inspectors, will tell you it is almost as if you have done nothing, and resuscitate your committee, redo everything. Please also ensure that there's appointment letters for all your committee members. Section 18 of the Act. Designated employers, you have to disclose information to the consulting parties, the CEO, the E manager, your committee, when you consult pertaining to employment equity. Okay, so your committee, your manager, and employees need to be informed on employment equity as well. Section 19 of the Act. Designated employers, you have to conduct an analysis of your policies, practices, procedures, and your work environment. You will then need to identify barriers that adversely affect people from designated groups. Once you have done those barriers, you must see what affirmative action measures could be implemented to overcome those barriers. Okay, that is called the qualitative analysis. And then the quantitative analysis is the one pertaining to percentages, where your African male target is 42.8% as at April 2020. You maybe employ only 10% in a specific level, resulting in an underrepresentation of 32.8%. If that is your highest underachieved area pertaining to your actual versus the target, then it's priority number 1 should you promote and or employ in that specific occupational level, race and gender, you need to work on your priority one. Okay, colleagues, we've seen this in DG reviews, in and out, in and out, in and out, where the main question lately is, and the companies that's already underwent DG reviews would hopefully agree with me, where you would say, Peter, yes, absolutely. In the DG review, the inspector said we are underrepresented on this race and gender, but when we promoted or employed, we employed or promoted not on priority number one. Why not? The company now needs to explain, why did you employ and or promote in this particular race and gender that's already overrepresented? And believe you me, I've seen that on numerous occasions. Ensure your EAP analysis is in the format of the EA 12 as per the regulations that were gazetted 1 August 2014. It has to be in the EEA 12 format. Not having an EAP analysis in your file could result in an immediate referral to the Labour Court. 1.5 million rand or 2% of turnover for the first contravention, the highest of 1.5 million or 2% of your turnover. Please, the DEL, they are hammering companies on the EAP analysis. Ensure that you have this in place. Okay, once you have done your EAP analysis, why do you do your EAP analysis? Okay, that's a question. The answer is as follows. To determine your highest underrepresented races and genders in each occupational level. So once you have done your EAP analysis, you need to use the priorities to inform your EE plan. Okay, so designated employers, you have to prepare and implement an EE plan which will achieve reasonable progress towards equity in your workplace. Bearing in mind the following, ladies and gents, I've visited the past couple of years so many companies that said, Peter, we do have an EE plan, we submitted it to the department. No, you do not submit your plan to the department. Yes, your goals and your targets that derives from your EAP analysis and that's put into your EE plan. The figures you submit in the EA2 report under your targets and your goals that you do submit online to the DEL. The EE plan as per section 20, it's a separate document that's in your file, not being submitted to the DEL at all. In that EE plan, there's numerous rules. You have to indicate the names of your committee. They need to sign off on the plan. There must be an internal dispute resolution. Awareness. How are you creating awareness pertaining to employment equity? What's your targets? What's your goals? What's your non-numerical goals? Are you going to train your committee? Are you going to identify possible disabled candidates? Are you going to do whatsoever? That plan, it's a separate legal document placed in your file, not being submitted to the DL. Please, in an investigation, do not tell the inspector, but I submitted my plan in the EI2, goals and targets. That is not the case. It must be a separate document. So as mentioned, if you do not have an EAP analysis, that could result in an immediate referral. The same goes for not having an EE plan. Possible immediate referral to the Labour Court. 1.5 million rand or 2% of turnover for the first contravention. Section 21. Anytime from 1 October this year up to the 15th of January next year. So in other words, anytime from the 1st of October any particular year and the 15th of January the following year, designated employers need to submit the EI2 and EI4 reports to the Department of Employment and Labour. You can do it manually between 1 September and 1 October. My recommendation is rather do it on the online portal. It's much easier. It has to be done before the 15th of January the following year. In other words, with regards to the meeting and the webinar today, please ensure that your reports are submitted before 15th of January 2021. Colleagues, also please, I've seen it more often than not. Please do not wait until the 12th or the 13th or the 14th of January. If the DL system is maybe under pressure and it crashes, the department will retaliate and say, but you know what? You had time from the 1st of October up to the 15th of January the following year. You had more than sufficient time. Okay, do not wait before 2 or 3 or 4 days before the deadline. Please submit your reports ASAP. Section 22, I don't know whether there's maybe JSE listed companies attending here today. If they are, as per Section 22 of the Act, designate employers, if you are a public company, in other words, JSE listed, you will have to publish a summary of the report required by Section 21. Otherwise, possible penalty. As mentioned earlier, I just also want to elaborate again, when you do not submit your reports as per Section 21 of the Act, that could also result in an immediate referral. Okay, so if you do not have an EAP analysis, possible immediate referral. If you do not have an EE plan, possible immediate referral. If you did not submit your reports as per Section 21, possible immediate referral. Please, colleagues, believe you me, I've seen that before, and the department will then say, it is now in a legal process, you will need to wait for the outcome. As per Section 23 of the Act, designated employers before the expiry of your current plan, it is advisable that you start to prepare a new plan. So let's assume EECMS, our EE plan expires or will expire the 30th of June 2020. On the 1st of July 2020, we have to have a new plan. Okay, otherwise it could result in a possible referral to the Labour Court. Just back on the employment equity plan, successive EE plan, colleagues, we're going to have another presentation. I will give through information to companies. We are thinking about hosting a full-day session. We will give a quotation to all the attendees if you'd like to attend. But just something that I can mention to you so long. When it comes to the employment equity plan, it can be anything from 1 year to 5 years. My professional advice is as follows. We believe that the Employment Equity Act will change and be amended before September this year, which will mean a couple of things. Companies employing less than 50 people will most probably, if it's gazetted as per the current draft, employing less than 50 people will be deemed non-designated, irrelevant of turnover threshold. So in other words, we believe turnover threshold might fall away. We also believe that sectoral targets will be introduced, meaning that your EE plan will basically expire being null and void, and you will be needing to do your EE plan based on sectoral targets instead of the latest EAP only. Okay, so that is yet to be seen. The reason why I'm telling this to you is if your plan, like with EECMS, let's say our plan expires the 30th of June, my professional recommendation for now is to rather maybe implement a 1-year plan instead of a 5-year plan, so that you can just see how the Act will change, if it will change, especially with the COVID. I did have a discussion again with the directorate, and the feeling is still that the Act will change this year. Okay. As per Section 24, there's an employer, you have to assign 1 or more senior managers to ensure implementation and monitoring of your plan. You have to take reasonable steps, and you have to have resource guides. So again, EE manager, if you do not have an EE manager, could result in a possible penalty. Okay, again, not in my presentation, but let me give you some free advice. If you can take your pen and paper, please ensure the following pertaining to the employment of the senior EE manager. On the employment letter, if you currently do not have it in place, get it in place. Otherwise, it could result in a penalty or referral to the Labour Court. And your employment of EE manager needs to stipulate the following. Number 1, you have to indicate in that letter that the EE manager is a full-time employee in your company. You have to indicate that the EE manager reports directly to the CEO. You have to indicate that the EE manager has the relevant budget to ensure that employment equity compliance will be in place. Must have a relevant budget. And number 4, you have to indicate that the key performance indicators and or key performance areas of the EE manager will be evaluated and will be placed into the contract of employment of that EE manager or an addendum thereto. In other words, top management will review the performance of the EE manager. Okay, that's imperative to note, otherwise the DL will give you recommendations. Section 25, duty to inform employer. You have to display in your workplace a notice in a form on the summary of the Act and the basic conditions of the Employment Equity Act, or it could result in a possible penalty. Meaning the following, you will know, and or most probably in your offices, you will have these big A3 posters. Okay, it's usually in a canteen or in the hallway or at the reception, indicating the summary of the Act and the basic conditions. It has to be stipulated or placed where all employees can view it. Section 26, designate employer for at least 5 years. You have to maintain hard copy records of your employment equity proceedings. When it comes to agendas, when it comes to registers, meeting minutes, your EE plan, your EAP analysis, your EE submissions, etc. Please retain it for a period of 5 years, has to be hard copy. Section 27, as I have indicated, your EA4 needs to be submitted to the Department of Employment and Labour, anything between 1 October this year online and 15th of January 2021. The EA4 indicates the remuneration of employees. It's not a public document. In other words, you do not need to discuss the EA4 with your EE committee. I've seen before where unions got involved, insisting on the EA4 to be discussed. The law stipulates it's not a public document. You do not discuss salaries, wages, or any means of remuneration in any employment equity committee. And then just pertaining to my last slide, section 43 and 44, if there's a review by the Director General, in other words, if you undergo an inspection, investigation, maybe a DG review, please, if they give you a timeline, if the Department of Employment and Labour Inspector provides you with a timeline, please ensure that you remain with that timeline. Believe you me, and I've seen this before as well, if your deadline is today, the 23rd of April, the 24th of April, you did not submit the relevant reports, it will be referred to the Labour Court, and the inspector will tell you, sorry, it is now in a legal process. I cannot do anything about it now. Okay, so please, if there are time frames, stick to those time frames. What we will do, I just want to show you a couple of videos for now where you can obtain all the information, and then after that, Mr. Charles Kinnear will have a discussion on the COVID-19, on the epidemic, and the impact on the employer and the employees. But what we will then do after that, we will have a Q&A session. Then Mr. Kinnear and myself will go through all the questions, because as people are asking questions, which we will look at later in the presentation, I am sure there's other people attending here today out of the 203 current participants that maybe have the same question as well. Okay, so we will attend to all the questions just after Mr. Kinnear has spoken as well. For now, I just want to show you a couple of things from EECMS' side. You know, a lot of times we have companies asking about, Pieter and EECMS, what's the glitch in here? Why are you giving these presentations? Do we have to pay for the webinar after the fact, beforehand, or suddenly you're explaining you're going to provide us with a COVID-19 policy? Maybe you're going to invoice us after the fact? No, ladies and gents, not at all. However, we take 10 to 15 minutes just explaining our services, what we can offer. The rest, it's at no cost. Okay, so first of all, what I'm going to share with you now is just explaining what EECMS can do for you and your company. We utilize an online system through EE Masters. How does it work? We give you a quote. We actually mail the quote to everyone as well. If you look at the document that you received in PDF, everything is explained in there, and the quoting system, etc. How does it work? We as EECMS becomes your offsite EE compliance consultant. We ensure total and full EE compliance. We assist you with the setup of your company. You can see this is a demo company that we just added in here. We do the setup for you. In other words, we obtain certain information in an Excel sheet, and then we start to facilitate. Okay, so I'm not going to explain everything that we can do through our online system and through our Zoom meetings and through, you know what, sometimes companies ask me, but Pieter, what's the benefit to us? Where do we save money? Because we have to pay out money. My answer to them is, you now, due to, amongst others, social distancing, you do not need to have your committee, everyone in an office. You don't need to fly people in between Cape Town, KZN, Johannesburg, etc. We facilitate, we bought the Zoom license. Your committee can literally sit anywhere in South Africa and we facilitate the meeting. If that person has a cell phone with him or her, that person is in the meeting. We facilitate, you don't need to let people fly in and or out, whatsoever the case may be. On productivity, you don't have people traveling to your office for 2 hours to sit in a meeting. They can literally do it on the phone. Okay, so through this system, we obtain information. Then we start with the setup. We also, of course, obtain the information of your company, physical address, etc., etc. Then we input the CEO. You can see in front of you, you will be able to edit the CEO. We also input the E-manager, whosoever the E-manager is. When I type on E-manager appointment letter, date, for attention, Mr. David, letter of appointment, and there you will be able to see at senior management, African male, being the critical link between the CEO and the E committee, your roles and responsibilities, everything, colleagues, draws through immediately. And then, as I've mentioned, your assignment as E-manager also confirms that. And you have to have those rules in your appointment letter. You print it on your letterhead and you are then in compliance with section 24, having an E-manager. You can also edit your E-manager, of course. If you now have a new E-manager, you edit it. We give the handover to you with your login and your password, and from there on, the entire system is yours, and we facilitate all the meetings. We assist with the setup, etc., etc. When you go to employees, you will know that you have to complete an EI1 document, all employees, and Bob's your uncle, there is your EI1 declaration of employee. You print it out of the system and the person signs off on that. When it comes to employees, just as a value adding, you can search for any employee. Let's look at this person and we say details. All the details of that employee will be built into your system. And there's all the details of that employee. Okay. I just quickly want to go back to employees because I want to show you something else there. Again, you look at the details of an employee. If you press on action, you can say that that person received training, or you want to add the remuneration. It's already up to date with the latest EI4 that changed. Of course, you get the vertical gap analysis, everything, all our clients receive that at no additional cost. You can promote a person, or you can amend, saying maybe that person is not junior but senior. You can terminate that person. Okay, so I just want to show you a defaults to today's date. You select the reason for termination, and that is optional. An additional reason, I'm not going to terminate this person because once I put my finger on yes, terminate and or promote or new appointment, you can add an employee. Bottom line is, through the system we utilize, it already amends your EI4 and your EI2 for submission purposes, which we, of course, do the submissions on your behalf, being your offsite consultants. Your committee, you would remember I said your committee must be pertaining, or the constituency of the committee must be within a line pertaining to the employment equity legislation. So this was written in such a way that it already shows in senior management who you could possibly assign to your committee. The same goes for middle, junior, semi, etc. I'm going to scroll down. The same then goes for African male, African female, African whatsoever. Whenever we assign someone, immediately your appointment letter appears and it shows there for attention earners, letter of appointment. You will see already showing you are representing unskilled. And there's the roles and the responsibilities to be signed off by the E manager. Going to workforce profiles. As at this point in time, the company, demo company, employs 1,314 people. Okay, so as value adding, your CEO might come and say, give me the number of employees 4 years ago. immediately and in real time, our system determines your number of employees. Okay, you can do the same, of course, for disabled. You can do the same for recruitment. You can say within the past 1 year, 9 months, and 3 days, how many people did we recruit, and it will indicate the number of people in your system. And I think one of the biggest things here, remember I hammered on the EAP statistics. We as super users, we utilize and update your system through our back office, showing you the latest target. The system immediately calculates. You have 2 people in top management, 1 African male, 1 African female. And if we look at African male, the target is 42.8. Your current equals 50. It means an over of 7.2, resulting in African males being priority number 7. So I'm just going to show you an example. If you need a full-on demo, please pop me an email. It will take more or less an hour. Then I can run through everything, what our system and what EECMS can do for your company. But just to look at an example, you can see here that your colored males equals the highest underrepresented race and gender in top management, resulting in being priority number 1. So if I go to the what if analysis, I say, okay, we know colored males, priority 1, let's employ 1 colored male. Immediately, the system will determine then, should you employ 1 colored male in top management, your priority number 1 becomes African male, based on the highest underachieved and overachieved race and genders. Let's employ 2 African males. Immediately, you see African female becomes priority number 1. And as you say, let's employ 1, then priority 1 becomes white male. Okay, so this is a playing mechanism. Of course, it does it for top management, senior, middle, junior, etc. When it comes to your EE plan, we do the setup for you. Maybe your plan expires a year or 2 years from now. We say, you know what, Mr. Du Toi, don't worry. You don't need someone to come out or your HR to do a new plan. We do it through this. Please also bearing in mind, if there are consultants attending to this presentation, please feel free to pop me an email. I will do a handover. You will be able to utilize the same system for your current clients as well. For all consultants, please contact me. You will be able to utilize this system. Okay, so let's assume now on top management, we need to do a new EE plan. We know that colored females, priority number 1. Now we can say, first year, we can say colored male, and we think of maybe appointing or terminating or promoting or whatsoever the case may be. Okay, once we have inputted that, you save it. There's your non-numerical goals. You input a couple of things there. Okay, so bottom line with the system we utilize, we ensure that it's completely user-friendly. Now, you sit with the client, you say, okay, you're going to employ 1 colored male and 2 African males. What is your strategy, Mr. the client? And your client says, Peter, what are you talking about? And we say, don't worry. There are numerous possibilities and examples, and or you can add your own on what your strategy could be. We had a discussion on the barriers. There's 23 possible categories of barriers, starting at recruitment and ending at time of your committee to meet and succession and experience planning, etc. Now you sit with the client and you say, give us barriers. Let's look at your policies, your practices, your procedures, your work environments, and your client sits there and says, Peter, I don't know what you're talking about. Now we say, okay, under recruitment, is it a barrier, yes or no? If so, yes, we say whether it's policy, practice, or procedure, start date and end date. And let's maybe say, we noticed we have a challenge recruiting disabled staff. The target is 2%. Then we can say, okay, if that is a barrier, whatsoever you click on here will pull through to your analysis and your plan. We will liaise with the Department of Employment and Labor. We provide you with the email address there, website address. We will liaise with the disabled people. We're giving you a contact number there. Disabled youth with a contact number, etc. Okay, so by means of this, you get hundreds of examples on barriers. Okay, I'm going to scroll down. I'm not going to take all the time. You will be able to see that there's hundreds of examples as I scroll down, basically to guide you in terms of what could my barriers be. Once we assist you with all of this setup, you get handover, and whatsoever you clicked on, you will see, for those of you, this is the format of the EA12. It must be on the logo of the department. There's front cover information, demo company, and as I scroll down, the barriers we select, it pulls through. Okay, you don't retype it over or anything. It's a system with more than 3 million formulas. Everything is being calculated. Everything pulls through. The Department of Employment and Labour's Directorate told me, Peter, it's immaculate what the company has done in the past 2.5 years pertaining to employment equity. There's your statistics. It pulls through. Your highest underachieved, whatsoever your strategies were that you selected, it pulls through. Okay, you don't go and retype everything over. The narrative and the actual example is there. Cancel this. Okay, the same goes for the E plan, colleagues. Once you press on your E plan, everything is there. Again, on the DEL's portal, introduction, this thing underwent numerous investigations. It shows the start and the end date. It shows you objectives. We endeavor to appoint 1 African male, 1 African female, endeavor to appoint 5 females in semi-skilled, etc., etc. You don't need to go and retype everything. Your barriers, it pulls through. Okay, number of employees. If you said we endeavor to employ so many people and so many people or terminate, throughout the system we utilize, everything is calculated already. You don't need to go and do the calculations manually. Okay. When I go down, again, I'm not going to go. Your strategies will pull through to your E plan. Your non-numerical goals, we're going to train our committee, or we will mainstream race and gender equality. Whatsoever you go through our guidance, it pulls through to your E plan immediately. There's the E manager, it pulls through with the roles and responsibilities. The same for the committee, roles and responsibilities, and then of course, who the committee is and who they represent. And then of course, your dispute resolution mechanism. Your EA2 and EA4, it pulls through immediately. Okay, with the EA2 and EA4, I cannot show that to you now because we still need to finalize for this demo company. Oh, sorry, I can have, there it is. Just quickly have a look. Okay, there's the EA2, the EA4. I'm not even going to show it to you. It's based on the latest legislation. Okay, there's your entire EA2. You finalize it, we help you with that, and we submit it. When we talk about vertical gap policy, you will remember with the amendment of 8th of August 2019, one of the big things now is that you need to implement a vertical gap policy as well. Not the end of the world, there's your vertical gap policy. Everything pulls through. Okay, I'm not going to show you all the policies. We have policies that you will be able to, once you join EECMS, that you will be able to have access towards. And then of course, users, you can add your own users and you can say, I have one person working on remuneration and adding employees, but I've got another person that I just want to add employees, not being able to see the remuneration of employees. That can be arranged. We just add up to 100. You'll be able to see there up to 100 users for your specific company. We have a COVID-19 policy that we prepared. So everyone, please, if you can write down the following website address, www.epsco.co.za. www.employmentequitynews.co.za. The COVID-19 policy is on there. My presentation of today is on there. The presentation that Mr. Charles Kinnear will give today is already on there. The updated one will be on the website 1 o'clock this afternoon. Please, some companies in the past contacted me and said, but Pieter, you promised a COVID-19 policy. It's not something we're going to mail to the 3,000 companies that opt in for our presentation. You would also have found I did mail you a PDF document. If you open that document, it shows how to subscribe on our YouTube channel and everything, where to get the policy, etc., etc. Okay, and not only the policy, numerous other things. I'm going to show you this video on employment equity news. Okay, so in other words, www.employmentequitynews, our website, it's www.eecms.co.za. It's there in front of you. If you go to EE Audit, your company will be able to perform a free compliance audit based on your profile. Okay, you must just follow the prompts there. Please, for the purpose of this, just say that you have more than 50 employees and that your turnover is above the threshold. That's EE Audit. You can visit our website, perform an audit. There's no cost involved. And then also, when you go on to download, you'll be able to see there's the COVID-19 policy as well. That policy comes at no cost. You might be in a position where you say, you know what, we need employment equity training, or our committee needs training, whatsoever the case may be. I'm almost done, ladies and gents. What I'd love to show you is you have the opportunity where companies will be able to enroll in certain courses. That, of course, comes with the cost. I'm going to play the video. Look at this. The website address there is eemasterclass.co.za. Please visit eemasterclass.co.za. The pricing and the courses and everything is on there. I'm going to show you a minute or two video on how eMasterclass can help you and your employees. Okay, so everyone, thank you very much. From my side, again, Pieter from EECMS, thank you very much for your time. We really do appreciate. Please visit the various websites, go onto the links, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our Twitter account is EECMS_SA. We also have a LinkedIn profile. You can just search for either Pieter du Toi and or EECMS. Go onto our various platforms. If you have any questions, you also have our email address, cp@eecms.co.za. For now, thank you for everyone that attended. I'm going to hand over to Mr. Charles Kinnear. Hello everyone. Charles just lost some connection. He will be up and running in about a minute or two. Just whilst we are waiting for Mr. Kinnear as well, that will talk about COVID-19. Please bear in mind, I will mail all the participants as well. I think we are thinking of having a 6 to 7 hour presentation next week, Thursday. Of course, pertaining to that, there will be a cost involved because we will provide a couple of templates pertaining to employment equity and the EA 12 and 13, the plan, etc., etc. And then what we will be doing, we will have a sister, a nurse, that will be able to do a virtual off-site screening of COVID-19. And whether looking at possible symptoms, whether you might be affected or not, that would of course also be included in the costs. So that's information that I will also give through to everyone, I believe before the end of Tuesday. If you'd like to attend that workshop, that's one that will come at a cost, but we will give more clarity on the emails. Okay, I'm just quickly going to show everyone this video.
EECMS is introducing the first virtual employment equity compliance solution by taking your consultant online. Clients are no longer required to conduct face-to-face meetings with our consultants. Our virtual solution will allow clients from around the globe to interact, consult, and train with their respective consultants from the comfort of their own desk. With our web-based compliance services, your employment equity solution submissions and consultations will stay compliant as per the requirements of the Act, no matter where you are based. No more traveling or boardroom bookings. We bring the service to your desktop. Conduct conference calls with remotely based colleagues and superiors during the consult. Share live documents or screens to all attendees and consultants for brainstorming or clarification sessions. Audio-visually record meeting discussions between yourselves and the consultant for references and notes. Join the web-based consultancy services today and comply with your employment equity services from the comfort of your own desk. Speak to your consultant for more information or contact our information center for details on the services rendered. EECMS, your virtual employment equity compliance management service. EECMS utilizes an online tool to ensure full and total EE compliance as per the amended Act. We ensure that you are in full compliance with the Employment Equity Act. We do it all. You just need to connect with us as we aim to become your go-to guy. We meet and consult via our virtual solutions. We implement the Act, and you achieve compliance. Employers with over 50 employees. Agriculture over 6 million turnover, mining over 22.5 million turnover, manufacturing over 30 million turnover, electricity, gas and water over 30 million turnover, construction over 15 million turnover, retail and motor over 45 million turnover and more. Eliminate penalties. Increase a triple BEE score, forming a sense of belonging to employees. Effective transformation. And promoting diversity. We submit the EEA2 and EEA4 reports on behalf of our clients, after approval thereof by the CEO or accounting officer. EECMS has a Level 4 broad-based Black Economic Empowerment rating. Our clients therefore qualify for 100% recognition when procuring from us. Our CEO has been involved in various marketing and communication entities. We have various EE specialists, including a compliance auditor with 3 years' experience at one of the Big 4 auditing firms. Our team has been involved in 62 DG reviews from 2017 to September 2019, with a 100% pass rate of companies not being referred to the Labour Court. Submissions of reports are done by a number of experienced data capturers, and we have a staff complement to ensure the successful submissions of all our clients. We currently serve more than 160 companies who employ anything between 6 to 12,500 employees. Our client base includes private companies, listed companies, close corporations, non-profit organizations, educational institutions, and government. Clients' annual turnover ranges from very little to more than 1 billion rand, and we have a client base throughout South Africa. EECMS, your virtual employment equity compliance management service.
Everyone, I can see that Mr. Kinnear has joined again. I will make him the host just now as well. Please remember, also go to the e-masterclass, enroll for certain courses. Remember, once you have done the course, you will also obtain a certificate, and you can claim that for informal training pertaining to your BEE verification as well. Okay, that is www.eemasterclass.co.za. Follow the prompts. Once you pay through the payment mechanisms, you can start with the course. Your delegates will then write an exam, after which the delegate will obtain and receive the certificate, and you claim your BE points should it be an African Indian colored male or female. For now, thanks a lot for your time. I'm going to see to make Mr. Kinnear the host here, after which we will then have a Q&A session.
Yes, good morning, Peter. Yes, I'm the host. Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone joining us on this webinar. Quite a nice day today here in Cape Town also, Peter, for you guys there in Pretoria. So we're enjoying Cape Town very well. Thank you so much for joining us today. I just want to open up so I can share with you my PowerPoint presentation. A very good morning from me, Charles Kinnear. A special word of appreciation for all of you attending this webinar, and great appreciation to EECMS team for their great initiative. Thank you, Pieter du Toi and your team. I'm going to kick off by just giving you some information on the stats that's currently out there. You all know about the application for TERS. That is now for your time that businesses are under distress. They cannot pay their salaries and that kind of thing. So yes, we see there was a 991. How accurate this is, I do not know. I received this, I think it was on Tuesday. So maybe there's a hotline if you want some more information. There's also the legal hotline at NIASA, Gerard Papenfuss, and them are managing this whole process. But you can contact them if you want some more clarity on status of payouts. Now, status of payouts. I believe there was something like 23,000 applications already turned down, and not turned down permanently. It was turned down to say, go back and do your homework, you incorrectly filed. Now, since day one, which we started with this webinar, I warned everybody, please, please, do not do your own thing. Look what the king wants and provide the king what he needs. That's it. That is the most important thing on this stuff. And well, maybe they did not, these 23,000 did not join our webinar and never realize what's the importance of that. Now, in this 23,000 is also non-compliant companies. That means companies that deducted UIF never either pay over the contribution, never declared it properly, or only submitted a portion of the deduction and therefore falling into non-compliance. COVID-19 came with a shock to all of us. And if there was companies going shortcuts not to pay over and declare the deductions or the contributions properly, you will face a problem today when doing your application. Then I can tell you one thing. If your stats was not correct with Department of Employment and Labor, you will not succeed. And it's not their problem, really. Now, I'm busy with a comprehensive update on the COVID-19 about the temporary employer and employee relief scheme. And I just want to, but I'll email that later onto the web page that they can publish it for us there. And if you require this also, as well as my PowerPoint on a later stage, just send me an email. You're more than welcome. I'll send it to you. There's no cost involved here. Now, during the period of 26 March 2020, up until April 2020, the application process for TERS has changed no less than 5 times. I was busy on the website with a client, and we saw how the drop boxes was changed. Because why? The legislation changed, and there's new amendments, and there was a first lockdown and then a second lockdown. And they first had only the first, and then they made it the second, and now it's a whole period. So the changes there, and bear with them. This is a new thing for them. And the minister actually pronounced on the 19th of April, he said, the system was never meant to face such a huge demand. The system is very small, helping with 10,000 to 20,000 claims. Now, as we are talking about millions of applications, and I can promise you that there's daily applications coming in to Department of Labor. In terms of the system, we are not going to be able to deliver as we are supposed to do. It's a growing pain. It's a growing thing. I mean, we must understand that this was never before there. All right, and we must appreciate that that UIF is working very much in favor of the employer to see that the monies get paid out. I received also from clients inquiries about, I received my payment, but who must get what? Now, I've got a guru that we partnered up in Pretoria, sitting next to UIF, can get us all the information. So I sent him and asked him what's happening here, and he said to me, they will pay you out, and after 72 hours, you will get your, can I say, your rollout plan, who to pay how much, and so forth. All right, 23,000 so far, and that was the 19th of April. Employer did not declare, paid over contribution. Employee started date do not collaborate with the UIF as per what the employer submitted. That is crucial. I've got a guy phoning me now. He was retrenched just before the lockdown, but because he started with the company 17 years ago, but it reflects only 7 years, and with his pay slip and the information of UIF, they do not collaborate. They don't talking to one another. Can you see the importance of this? Fraudulent documents. There was companies trying to actually go for a good hunt on money, I must be honest. And they was also rejected. And the last one is obviously no contributions paid. So if you did not pay or contribute to UIF, you cannot participate in TERS at all. And please note that all payments from UIF to employers are subjected to auditing, cross-border ordering. That means government versus the employer. So if the Auditor General is knocking on your door and saying, I want to audit you, they may do so because they contribute the money to you free of charge. I saw one or two clients that phoned me and said to me, you know, the Minister of Transport made such a vicious pronouncement that we cannot claim for TERS. I will get to that. Welcome to you guys here. But now, essential services. In the beginning, essential services was also a bit of a uphill. But I can see now where there was applications turned down and they reapplied, the application went through and it was approved. So if your application was turned down, please go back. Here's the information that you're required to do so and try them. You're more than welcome. And remember, go to the BIS portal, gov.za/services. You will see if you scroll down, there's a red button. We'll call it a button. And you click on there and it will start prompting you to answer certain questions. You give it to him, like your business registration number, etc. And if you approve, you will get your permit. Acknowledgement of TERS applications or not? Yes, they do acknowledge. They are very, very much active with this. In the beginning, it was a bit slow. Like I mentioned, I think it is growing pains also. It's a new thing for us. It's a new thing for them. And they try to facilitate the best they could. Okay, did clients receive money from UIF? Yes. Some of my colleagues also phoned me and say, yes, they got it. I've got people phoning me, and like I mentioned earlier on, telling me I received this lot of money, but who must I pay? All right. Then the process of financial relief provided by Business SA. I've got a lot of flow charts. I'm also going to put it onto the website. You can go and look. It will be PDF. How Business of South Africa explain to you the whole process of it, and how the support is there from tax relief, support from banks, the whole thing. And you can download it for you at no problem at all. And you can have it. I can also email it to you. So the choice is yours. All right. No work, no pay. Must I pay the basic salary? No. What is about work, no pay? If there's no work, there's no pay. That's the common rule. And here I explain to you everything that's in terms of that, that you can go and read at your own time, and you can maybe ask me some further questions via email, WhatsApp, doesn't matter. You're more than welcome. I'm not going to read through the whole thing. You can do it at your own leisure. Lots of us is locked in home arrest. So hopefully we get some bail tonight when Mr. Ramaphosa is talking to us. I'm just talking about, it's some Latin words that I need to discuss with you to actually help you understand what was said in my presentation on the previous slide. But it is only for educational purposes. Must business pay the monies up front or wait for tax? Indeed, it will be a much help to pay the monies upfront to the employees if the employer is in the position to do so. It will create, obviously, good respect between you and the employee, loyal employees, good moral between the two parties, for sure, for future benefits. But this is not a must or dictated by law. There's nothing like that. There is unions trying to say you must pay it and we demand. There's no time for must and demand. There's legislation or there's a process that is covered by legislation, one of the two. Employees took leave during the national lockdown. What if they want to take their leave at a later stage? I mentioned like the Building Bargaining Council, they're closing 15 to 15 January, 15 December, 15 January. What about them? And I was really scared with my first presentation to say, what's going to happen here? And I said, no, don't give them leave. But now you can give them leave and claim the leave money that you paid out to the employees from TERS, UIF. All right. And that can credit that leave again for them freshly to take it when they need to take their leave. Even if it's during shutdown period or the time that they plan a family holiday, maybe December, maybe February, but then it's back credited to them. It's only for relief now what we are going through the lockdown. Provide TERS with the total new separate bank account. That was in the legislation. They amended it. No, not at all. If you preferred a separate bank account, it is your good choice. If you prefer your current bank account, you may do so. So you don't have to go and create a separate bank account. My personal opinion, I don't know, but I think separate bank account will help with auditing, because then they don't have to filter through all your deposits and all your credits and all your banking costs of your old account, and they can just focus on the new account, which got the money from UIF, and that new account then paid it over to the employees. Makes more sense to me, but there was a lot of businesses say, I don't want to do it. And I said, no, don't do it. It is not a must. What if unions demand upfront payments? This is not a time for demands like I mentioned. Unions cannot come and demand you must pay the monies upfront. If you cannot, you cannot. You have to wait then for UIF. Nowhere in our legislation you are instructed to pay the monies upfront. So this is just a demand which I clearly don't see makes any a reason to worry about. Okay, then I'm talking about the disciplinary process during lockdown. There's a lot of essential services working, and I've had a couple of calls saying, listen, it's a lockdown. You as a chairman can't come to my employment place. or my officers, may I suspend without pay? And I said, no, you cannot do that. You must still apply the normal thing. You can only suspend a person with pay. Without pay, you will face, after this lockdown, you will face the CCMA or the Bargaining Council claim against you. And don't go that way. I don't think we need the energy to go and spoil it on a different place of disputes that we could apprehend it before the time. Maybe wait till after the lockdown, COVID-19, to commence with disciplinary action? No. Case law, the act is very clear, it's timelessly. You need to act timelessly with a misconduct. The moment you are aware of the misconduct and you can do your investigation, you have to process the disciplinary process. The hearing can be conducted via Skype, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or Amazon. The courts in South Africa are using also Skypes. We just, a day after the lockdown, there was an urgent application in Johannesburg. The judge was sitting in Durban. She could not be in Joburg. However, they did the application, the urgent application. That was Nahawu. Nahawu went away with a red face. They did it via Skype. So they sit in Johannesburg and she was down in Durban because she was attending to a case in Durban. When you issue a disciplinary notice, there's a common rule, 48 hours. 48 hours, minimum 2 days, that kind of things. Yes, please keep it going now. 3 days will not make a big smash. No, it's the availability of the chairman or chairperson, the initiator and the employee and the witnesses, obviously. So circumstances will guide you which way to go. Sometimes a week or so, but don't go for months or double the weeks. That's not going to work. My good clients in the hospitality, especially when it comes to accommodation, I know all of you locked down, you are down everything, and now what now? Now the minister was very creative to say, you may not claim because of your skin color. That's wrong. In the beginning of the lockdown, it was said you can claim, and this is not about skin, it's not about your sexual preferences, it's nothing that. It is now a disaster in South Africa, and South Africans must stand together, do your application, and go ahead. I'm not talking about the employment equity process that must still be followed, like Pieter explained. But now, when you do your application, you don't need a BEE certificate or anything like that. You need to be compliant with paying over to client. That is the most important thing on this day. Companies that was turned down on their application for TERS, please apply again. Don't be afraid. Please apply again. There is currently an urgent application proceeding in court, and it was filed by AfriForum, I believe so. I don't know. I don't have the outcome yet, or when is the court date, but we will see what's going to transparent through that. So I want you to process with your application. That's it. We cannot just listen to one minister's prayer and the others is more helpful. Will the lockdown be extended on the 2nd of May? I wish I knew. When President Cyril Ramaphosa spoke to us on TV the other night, I think it was Tuesday night, I was like a little dog looking for a bone with a lot of meat on, and that I couldn't find because he was just talking about the current conditions and the pros and the cons and all that kind of thing. But let's see what's happening tonight. Hopefully we will get a soft lockdown and carry on and progress like that. But I'm worried about the stats on the stage. I just get information all over to say the stats are not accurate. So I don't know what's going on. With the deployment of another 23,000 military staff members on the ground, something is not for me fishy. Smelling a rat somewhere, and I'm not getting to the answer of that. So I cannot elaborate on anything about the extension. Hopefully it's not another extension. I know, remember, this virus is airborne. And the whole thing about this virus is that we must all be cautious where we can. Social distancing, mask, all those kind of things put in place. It's all a precautionary thing, but Yes, sanitize, wash your hands. That is a must. Every day, every minute of the day, and don't touch your face. And we love to do it. Sister van der Merwe is unfortunately not with us today. She's very busy due to COVID-19. And she was telling, you touching your face so many times that you don't even know. It's about 2,000 times or more. She's the guru. She will tell you. But maybe next Thursday we can talk to her again. Okay, then the interpretation of the letter of demand of the attorneys. I'm just giving this as a heads up for you guys. I think some of you will have a good laugh about it. The attorneys that represent the Gauteng Liquor Forum was totally misinterpreted on the presentation of the letter of demand. They were asking that alcohol must be sold and consumed off premises and not on premises. And the government saw it as they want the shebeens to be open. So what means a shebeen? Obviously, it's like a bar or a club. You go and you consume it in the shebeen, in the club. No, they said, no, we don't want that because we are afraid of this social distancing. So yeah, and I think they misunderstood each other. And I think they've given some thought of not taking the government to the Constitutional Court, but we will see how it blows out after today or tonight. Then there was an interesting case in Middelburg. Middelburg, the judge there's an acting judge, Braakman. He actually hand down a judgment to say that the legal practitioners that was with him in court contravened the act. And that's the Disaster Management Act. And he actually refused them to claim any cost in this case, and he also reprimanded him. But what was interesting is he was not the first to do so. If you read later on through my presentation, you will see the first judge is Rudolphse, where he handed down a different one also, similar to what the previous judge did. So the judge in Middelburg just followed Judge Rudolphse. Quite interesting. But I'll just give you the introduction of this. This was a lawsuit against the municipality and to do with water and affairs of that. However, there was then given a guidance, you two parties, the applicants and the respondents, talk to one another and maybe you can find a common ground and get to a settlement agreement and then bring it to court and we make it a court of order, order of court. And this is what they did. And then they drove to Middelburg to go see the judge and say, okay, now judge, make it an order of court. And then he slapped them with this. But anyway, it was just interesting for me and I like to mention it to you. If you like to read it, you can also go and Google it. It's on Google available. There's also some more of it. And in the conclusion, that's means the judgment and all the parties that was involved in that. And it's H.F. Braakman is acting as judge of the High Court. So yeah, it was interesting a week for me to read all these things and also still keep on doing research. And I think that's why my technology let me down earlier on today. We're quite busy. My laptop and myself, I don't have one boring moment sitting at home, being home arrest, yes. Fake news on Facebook, please, 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 is the biggest frustration for me when people refer to Facebook. There are so many people trying to tell you all about this information, all about you go there and you must do this and that's a shortcut. It's nonsense. And then they come and tell you, no, they're not going to pay out UIF. Please verify your information. All our information has been checked, verified, and that's why we can give it to you. And where we cannot answer, we will find the answer, but the correct answer for you. So even if it takes a little bit longer. Don't believe in social media nonsense, Twitter and all that. People like to gossip and they like to put them on the spot so they can look very nice and good. But it could be a political thing also. You must remember, yeah, the government is also here with other opposition parties. So they can bring in fake news also. So watch out for that. All right, many clients ask me, please, we now need to talk to somebody at UIF, Department of Labor, and Zhavandre Hector, she gave me all this information. She's in Cape Town, but all the other contactables is up in Johannesburg or Gauteng. Please note this. This is very of importance for you. If you do have any questions, email them. Do be not too harsh on them. They do have lots of emails coming in, querying about this, querying about that. Be patient. Don't think you're sending no email and they're going to immediately respond to you. No. First come, first serve. That's it. We know all our queries are critical. We want to give feedback back to the employees. We want to know in what situation we're going to be. Please be patient. They will come back to you. I had very good feedback from clients. It said to me, Charles, thumbs up. Thank you very much for the information. They were very helpful when they came back to me. Okay, thank you very much. If there's any questions, we can relate to the questions, and Peter, myself will run through that and help you. If you do have any specific questions and you don't want to do it over the webinar, email me. My email address is on here. My cell phone number is on here. I've got a fax number on there. So WhatsApp, yes, no problem. Email, no problem. Send me a fax, no problem. All right. Just be more specific when you do making a query, that I can understand everything you're saying. Sometimes I can see the emotions because the boss is asking me questions and I need to give an answer. And yeah, I know. But boss, please be patient also. Patient, that's all. This is now a time that we cannot now go and blow into people's back and neck. Relax. All I'm just saying, please, if you do have a problem with your application, check what is the shortcoming or the shortfall of that application for TERS and resubmit. It will not do any wrong to you. Okay. I had an earlier call. A lady was asking me, we could pay their salaries this month, but next month we in trouble here. Your company is under duress. Make an application. Make a proper application and then wait for the outcome of that. Because it says clearly, and that is what I'm going to do with the comprehensive update on COVID, is to also run through a Q&A where you can understand maybe some common questions that was asked with an answer, and I will try to be detailed with it. It might be flowing out between tomorrow. I'm halfway through it, but I want to do something proper. Tomorrow, latest Saturday to Peter and them and his team, and maybe on Monday it will be on there. But you can always email me also and say, when is your presentation or when is this comprehensive update ready? And the moment it's ready, I can email it also to you. All right. So, okay, you can ask me for the next following things. My current PowerPoint presentation, I will email it to you if you don't want to wait for the website. Plus, then also the update, comprehensive update on a later stage. But you can, in the meantime, send me an email. And then the last will be any questions that you want to ask about your specific business. Please, all information are treated with the highest confidentiality and professionalism, and we try our best to reply to you as soon as possible. Sometimes my email get a bit clogged, but I try my best to, as soon as possible, as soon as a possibility there is, or giving me a chance to, I can reply, I will immediately do so. So you're more than welcome to do so. And from my side, out of Cape Town, I say thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, to the questions. I see they came through a couple of questions. Peter from Penny, please, will you mail me the presentation? Remember, everyone, if you visit www.employmentequitynews, All the presentations are on there. Mr. Kinnear's latest presentation will be on there within, let's say, by tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. Otherwise, www.employment equity news, all the relevant presentations are there in PowerPoint. You can even download it. You can even utilize it to provide training to your committee members. Then I have a question here. I just quickly want to scroll up. Give me a second. What if you only have 9 employees in the company, but you are a designated employer? How do you create an EE committee? Okay, again, should you be a designated employer due to the your annual turnover? So again, back to the example, you operate agri, a farm, you have 10 employees and your turnover is more than 6 million rand. Then you just go through your organogram to see, okay, out of the 10 employees, how many are on senior or middle or junior? And by default, if you don't have any employees in middle management and junior management, then you will not have a committee representative representing middle or junior. Okay, hopefully that answers your question. If not, feel free to send me an email at cp@EECMS as well. Is a representation of non-SA citizens not important? It's actually a very, very valid question. Thanks a lot for that, Bakina. When we talk about foreign nationals being non-South African citizens, there are currently no statistics available for foreign nationals. If you do and or attend to any in practice DG review, the question would be, why do you employ more foreign nationals? And or can you possibly seize the employ of foreign nationals since there is no statistics available? The Department of Employment and Labour and the inspectors rather want companies to focus on South African residents. Hopefully that answered your question there. Now I have a question here. Section 25, duty to inform. If we have multiple sites, should we display the EA documents on all our sites or only at head office? No, it has to be displayed at all your sites. The A3 poster summary of the Act and basic conditions must be placed on all the sites where your employees are working. Please define the term not to discuss the EI4 in the EE meeting. Does that mean that the said document may not be within sight of the committee? Yes. Bottom line is the following. When it comes to the discussion of the EI4 and the, indicating the remuneration, you do not need to discuss the EI4 with your EE committee at all. It's signed off by the CEO and or accounting officer, after which it will be submitted. You do not discuss remuneration and or the particular said document within the committee meetings. Then just quickly want to see here. I've got a question from Rosemary. Hi, we are a group of companies and some of our companies are under the required minimum to fall with. How do we deregister? Okay, that question actually popped up 2 or 3 times as Charles went through. I also went through the questions. How do you deregister? Okay, should your company employ less than 50 people and your turnover is less than the minimum threshold, then usually, and I don't know with the whole COVID-19 this year, but usually the Department of Employment and Labour opened their portal the 1st of June and closed it the 30th of June. Within that month, companies will be able to deregister for employment equity should they be deemed non-designated. How do you go about? We assist companies with that as well. You have to complete the EI14 document. You have to provide the department with your financial statements and the industry that you operate in, indicating that you are below the threshold. And of course, you have to provide the department with a number of employees currently employed. But usually, and I cannot promise it for 2020, but usually based on previous experience, the DL opens for that anything between 1 June ending 30th of June. Rosemary, I hope that that answered your question. I've got a question here from Patrick. Can you please list what items should and can be discussed with the EE committee? Is there a generic agenda? Also, how many times should the committee meet? Okay, to answer the second part of your question, the committee has to meet at least quarterly, every year 4 times. What we have seen before, and please do not go about with this, you cannot have 4 meetings on one day and say you had the 4 meetings per year. Okay, there has to be quarterly meetings. What we usually advise, keep your quarterly meetings within the time frames, the calendar time frames. Between January and March, you have your quarter 1. May to June, you have your quarter 2, and so I can go on. Okay, you have to have 4 meetings per year at least. You can also have 12 meetings per year. That would be more for your larger corporate companies. As part of EECMS services, we provide at least 4 mandatory meetings per annum. We facilitate, we provide our clients with the EE meeting minutes, agendas, registers, everything. And we also have an additional 8 meetings per year, which is not compulsory. Use it, don't use it, but things being discussed like HIV and the impact of HIV and on the economy and on your workforce and on the employer and employee. Also, the HIV policy that we can implement, etc., etc. Whether there's a generic document, no, unfortunately not. Remember, the purpose of having EE meetings would be to monitor your EE plan and the progress of where you are promoting and or employing people in the highest underrepresented races and genders in each occupational level. It cannot be generic meetings. It's basically the main purpose of that meeting, over and above and on top of training your committee, would be to monitor your company's EE plan. I hope, Patrick, that answered your question. The question, when is the deadline to deregister a company? As mentioned, anything between 1 and 30th of June. I don't know whether that will change with the whole COVID-19 epidemic, but as at past experience, anything between 1 and 30th of June. Okay, then I have a question here from Jose. We are production and retail. We employ 13 people in sales below 10 million rand per annum. Do we have to comply? Remember, number one, the first question, do you employ 50 or more people? The answer in your situation is no. The second question, we are in retail. So let's look at our annual threshold. Is our turnover pertaining to retail above 45 million rand per annum? In your case, no. Then you are not deemed a designated employer. Bearing in mind, should you have submitted your reports in the past, you still then need to comply with the Total Employment Equity Act up to the point where you have deregistered your company. A good morning. If our company uses EECMS to provide the service, how does it affect the E-managers' roles? Please. Bottom line, Bonita, it doesn't really affect the E-manager roles. The roles and responsibilities would remain the same. The only thing is EECMS facilitate everything on your company's behalf. In other words, surely and of course, the E-manager is totally and fully within the ambience of the Employment Equity Act and involved in the meetings. The main responsibility remains with the CEO of the company. The only thing is EECMS take ownership of the entire process, ensuring total and full EE compliance, and the EE manager roles and responsibilities remain the same. However, we facilitate everything on the company's behalf. I've got something here from Nontandazu. Fantastic system. Thank you for that. A painless process with EECMS. Thank you very much for that. Thanks, Peter. The presentation is appreciated. Thanks a lot for that. Very informative. I've got a question here from Sharon. What is the cost to subscribe to our YouTube channel? There is no cost involved. Okay, so when we talk about a Zoom meeting like the meeting we are having today, EECMS bought the license. That's why we are able to have certain webinars at no cost and or complimentary webinars. We pay for that. Why? Because we put our name out in and or throughout South Africa. YouTube channel, to answer you directly, no cost involved. You can just go onto YouTube and say EECMS, subscribe, no costing involved. You will have all the videos on there as well. Okay, then Charles, I see here from more or less 11:50 a.m. I see there's a couple of questions. I will read it to you. You can maybe answer from Juanita. Quickly just want to admit this person. Juanita asking, I applied for TERS using the online portal. Is this the complete application process? Do I await feedback from UIF now, or am I supposed to submit an application anywhere else?
Okay, Juanita, you and rest of the delegates, no, once you've done it on the online portal, it's done. You must just wait patiently, like I said, underlined, for the confirmation to come back from UIF. It will come back to you. And also when the payment gets into you, paid into your bank account, don't spend the money immediately on employees. Wait for the breakdown to arrive. It takes about 72 to 84 hours. Then you will have it. And no, Juanita, don't do any more further applications for TERS. You just need to do it online. When we started with TERS this year or in March, it was done through email, and they stopped it and they said, no, you must use the online. I think it's just to bring everything to a narrow point of discussion and investigation. Trust it helped you.
Charles, I see there's also a question from Lynette. Hi, Charles. Our current TERS claim reflected the basic salary and then the amount that was paid, which included leave pay and work from home pay. How then would we separately claim for the leave portion?
Okay, Lynette, I did ask you to email me, so it's quite a lengthy thing that I need to discuss there for you. But the leave portion is a separate application that you have to do if you've done already your TERS and not your leave. Obviously, they will look into that for whether it's going to be approved or not. So I think it's the way they will investigate is to see if this was used, the leave only for TERS, and that you were on the due rest to use that leave time. So yes. So I would say that you rather submit the second application for the leave on the online portal. If you don't come right, come back to me or look into my presentation for the contact number, the contact emails there, and email those delegates there or representatives of the Department of Labor, and they will also assist you. If you don't come right, come back to me. But yes, still send me your email. You're more than welcome.
Thank you very much, Charles. Next question. If we contribute towards staff's medical aid and pension, and we cannot afford to contribute due to financial constraints, what can we do now?
Okay, yes, this is where we're talking about the holiday pay. The holiday pay in terms of payments to a third party, for instance, like to your pension fund or to the medical aid. I know in the security industry, the pension fund came in and say you may apply for exemption for this period that you cannot pay your contribution because that you're financially distressed, and that's the reason why you can make such an application to the pension fund or to their provident fund. The same will apply with your pension fund. Liaise with them, talk them through, tell them what your situation is. And you must also do the same with your medical aid. There is tax relief, and I see ETI also came back with a new taxation on your employment refunds. So just speak to Sage. I don't know if you use VIP or Sage. Just talk to the two parties and let them assist you with that rebate also. But on SARS, there is a relief, yes. So I would recommend that you talk to your accountant so that they can assist you with this.
Thank you for that, Charles. Charles, towards EECMS, we have a question from Amanda. The question is, we have 3 different sites. Should we have one committee? Okay, I think first of all, the question would be 3 different sites. Is it within one company? In other words, when you submit reports, you look at your company registration number and you paste your earn number. If it's 3 different companies, you will need to have 3 different committees for each registered company paying their own PAYE. If it's one company, let me give you an example. We have a retail store as a client, and they have 32 branches throughout South Africa, but it's one retail company. Head office being in Joburg, and of course, stores throughout South Africa. They only need one committee. However, each of these sites must have an employment equity file in hard copy. The committee members can meet in Johannesburg head office. Then they scan and email all the relevant documents to the 32 branches they printed, and each branch will then have their own file, however, having one committee. If it's 3 different registered companies, each company will need to have their own committee. Okay, then I have a question here from Santi. We are a non-profit organization, 80% females that we employ, 18% people with disabilities, and mirrors the Western Cape targets in terms of race and genders. Is it not a good achievement to overachieve on your designated groups? According to your calculator, it will show that males are underrepresented and non-disabled people are underrepresented, etc., etc. Okay, Santi, to answer your question directly, I've attended to a DG review about 2.5 years ago where white males were underrepresented. And the Department of Employment and Labour said, what are you going to do to employ more white males? Okay, so in other words, you have to verify the EAP towards or against your current scenario. Try your best to employ in the underachieved races and genders pertaining to your priorities. So now, if you look at the latest, more or less percentages, males and females equals at 54.8% males and 45.2% females. That's over and above and on top of your normal EAP statistics between the race and genders in each occupational level. Bottom line is, a company employing only African males, just to give an example, the Department of Employment and Labour will say, no, why not white Indian colored males, white Indian colored and African females? You have to work according to the EAP targets, irrelevant of whether your designated groups are overrepresented. Then the department will say, work on your non-designated groups. I have a question here. What is the threshold? I do not know pertaining to what industry. Please visit our website, www.eecms.co.za. All the thresholds are listed on there. Then I've got a question here. Please can you let us know if we contribute towards staff's medical aid and pension fund we cannot afford due to the lockdown? I think that question maybe has been answered. Charles, small question to your side. I think that has been answered. If
I dealt with that.
Yes, if not, please email Charles. You have his email address as well. It was a private message, so I'm not going to mention the name or company name of the individual. Then I've got a question here. Hi, Charles, please, can you clarify how the leave credit is offset against the TERS payout, as it is only 38%? How does this quantify? If the company is paying you a portion, they can request to work back the time? Question mark.
Yes, I did reply while I was looking at the question. You can do by agreement between the employer and employee to say, I'm going to send you on leave, I'll pay you out all leave, but you only do have, say, 3 or 7 days leave, but I'll put you on full leave benefits, but the shortfall you have to work for me back. Yes, you can do it by an agreement. Otherwise, the application for leave is calculated differently, and I don't have the calculation monitor on that. So I would suggest that you apply for the refund of leave and take it from there and see how much of the portion you thought the employee will have to work you back might be covered into that in total. All right, so try that, but like I said, it's always worth a try to do it. Don't go and okay, and I say, do your own kind of application, just do on what they want from you.
Thank you for that, Charles. I've got a question here from Stuart. Can you discuss the option of applying regional and or provincial demographics rather than the national demographics for our targets? We are based in KZN. Stuart, at this point in time, you know what, when you attend to DG reviews, and unfortunately there's extreme non-consistency from one inspector to the next inspector. One inspector would say, I want to see the KZN demographics. Another would say, I want to see the national demographics. And another inspector would say, I want to see both national and provincial. Okay, so the good news I have for you there, okay, number one, unfortunately, we're sitting in a scenario where you have to adhere to what the inspector is requesting at this point in time. What we do for our accounts, we work on national demographics for now. The reason being, should the Act be amended before the 30th of September this year, 2020, sorry, one of the proposed amendments is that companies will be able to select either national or provincial, and then it's legislated, Stuart. Then no inspector can then tell you, I want to see this or that or both. Then the legislation states pertaining to your regional targets and EAP, provincial or national. For now, it's an open question. I'm sorry that I cannot give you a better answer. Some inspectors would insist on national, others would insist on provincial targets. Our recommendation is you use either national or provincial, but in your EE plan, you indicate that what the targets of national and provincial is. Okay, hopefully that answered your question. If not, feel free to send me an email. Just want to scroll up here again. Charles, another question for you. If an employee is considered a person at risk in terms of their health, are we required to pay this employee, or do we grant them special leave, paid or unpaid? Are we then keeping them safe by advising them of this?
The moment you detect that there's a possibility that somebody contaminated the virus, remember the virus is airborne. You cannot say how he or she will get in touch with this. You have to be very sensitive about the matter. I did discuss it, I think it was my second presentation, about POPI Act and versus the COVID-19. Now, in my first presentation, I mentioned about the defamation of character, if I can call it that way. But when somebody is gossiping about somebody, say, you know, Pieter, I think he's having the flu, you know, that bug. And this person going around with everybody and saying, ooh, watch out for Pieter. Watch out for that, because that can be a discriminatory event, the same as with HIV/AIDS. So you cannot just be not sensitive and grab somebody by the arm and say, you've got a COVID, go home. Be sensitive. Rather call in the person and say, I'm going to give you a special leave. That's the 14 days quarantine. In that time, get yourself tested and sort it out. But once again, they must call into the call center of the government. They will prompt certain questionnaires for that person to see if there is real signs to this possible COVID virus that you contaminated. And if you do not satisfy with their answers, they will say to you, there's no need for a test. So don't tell your employee to run off to the nearest clinic or the nearest hospital. It's going to be unfair. You can't do that. Yes, coming back to the question, it is special leave, and that special leave is 14 days. That 14 days, you claim it through UIF. The government said employers must please do the application for UIF under ill benefits. And that is that window period of 14 days quarantine that we're talking about, special leave. So it's not his real leave, it is special leave through UIF, a process on that as ill benefits. Thank you.
Charles, thanks a lot for that. I see there's another question here. If employee from Zim and payment declined with note not registered. So I assume if we have an employee from Zim and payment is declined with note not registered, but they do pay UIF. So I assume the Zim employees do pay UIF. How do I sort this out? Who do I need to speak to?
Okay, beginning of TERS in March, they were saying only South Africans qualified. Only South Africans qualified. No foreign nationals will qualify for this. Sorry, I don't have an answer for you.
No,
if somebody might, I'll say if anybody else knows about something differently, they can tell me. But on this stage, I know the statement was very clear. Only South Africans will be benefit through TERS.
And I think maybe you answered the question, because the second question from the same participant is a decline due to the ID number missing a digit. Do I resubmit this via email with the documents, etc., etc.? So yes, remember your ID number will indicate whether you are a foreign national or South African citizen, and a passport number will also then not suffice, I would assume, in this case. Charles?
Yeah, no, for sure. You're quite right, Peter. Please, if you missed one digit on an application, you have to resubmit that whole application through the online. You can't go for email. You have to resubmit it online. And unfortunately, like I said, passport numbers don't work, and foreign nationals are not covered under TERS. That's just short and long about it.
Thank you, Charles. From John, if I want to have a meeting as this Zoom webinar, or like this Zoom webinar with management of my company, how do we do this with EECMS? John, to answer you directly, feel free to pop me an email. Let's see what we can arrange. Again, my email address cp@eecms.co.za. If you'd also like to have a meeting with Mr. Charles Kinnear like this, Charles, you can just maybe give your email address again. Pop him an email. Charles, your email address again?
My email address is charleskinnear @ and I'll spell it to you, ABCORLAW.co.za. There's no dots between Charles and Kinnear. It's just fluently one thing.
Okay, then again, the question here, sorry, Charles, what I meant, or meaning that they are scared to return to work and they are not infected, but just considered to be at risk with those health conditions. Is this their choice, perhaps unpaid, or what are their options? And are we keeping them safe if we deny them this?
Look, if this is essential services, obviously I think it is essential services because your doors are open, or part of your doors are open, and you require them to come and work. Sorry, that they must come and work. It's not their choice, unless and sorry, I'm referring back to last week. Unless they can prove that they do have the virus, then obviously they have to submit a sick note or a sick certificate. It's not their choice. It's for you to decide whether or not they can stay at home. It's the company's prerogative to make such a decision, not the employees. If they don't want to work, sorry, then I'm going to charge you with disciplinary action because that's insubordination. I gave you instruction to come to work. Or then here's an agreement, no work, no pay, as short and short as that.
Charles, thank you very much for that. Ladies and gents, colleagues, I see there's still 71 companies attending this meeting. I think what we're going to do for now, since it's not the 200 and something plus remain, if you have any question, feel free for the next 5 to 6 minutes, maybe feel free to unmute yourself. There's only one person talking at a time. I'm going to mute everyone for now. And then maybe if you have a question, when you go to the right top of your screen there, you will be able to say unmute, and let's have questions one at a time. Is there anyone maybe having a question to either myself or Charles? You can just unmute yourself and ask the question.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
Thank you so much for the answers given already. I just want to ask, I've got 2 companies, okay? The one company is already paid out and I received the payment schedule today. But on the other company, I have not heard anything. Is there any way that this can be, that I can ask them what's going on, why this is not paid? It was on the same day submitted.
Charles, I believe this is a question for you.
Okay, the second company that was not being paid out, did you get a confirmation that they received your application?
Yes, everything we received exactly the same as the first company,
Okay.
saying they received it and saying, but nothing happened, not at all. And the first one already on Tuesday paid, so I don't know why.
Amanda, okay, now on my presentation, there is the contact emails that you can send to them and just say to them, I made an application, you confirmed, here it is, but it was not paid out. So I would suggest that you provide me with your email address, just email me, sorry, and tell me, listen, send me your webinar PowerPoint, and I'll send it to you, and everything is on there.
I want to ask a question.
Thank you very much. I already got that about snips of it. I will do that. And just the second question, I'm very sorry, you didn't answer me clearly on that one. The ID number where the digit is missing.
Yeah.
Should I submit the entire CSV document that was submitted the first time, or do I submit it only with one employee on it?
You have to do the whole document, the whole CSV, because your CSV is now corrupt because of one digit, unfortunately.
Okay, but all the others has been paid out. So should I just show their money as paid or received and these as
You
zero?
can send it to them and just tell them, well, look, yeah, well, if they paid out to everybody else except that one, I would then rather say, email those contacts first and ask them for the right process there. Because it might be that you need to send in the full file so they can update their files, or you can just send in that one. I haven't experienced something like this before. All right, that's why I'm a bit dodgy on that.
Thank you so much.
All right, Amanda.
Thanks.
27714, I think you've got a very interesting question. And that is pertaining that the employees are forced to go and work on public holiday. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that's not correct. I fully agree with what is your statement. If people working on a public holiday, you need to remunerate according to what the Act is saying. That's it. We cannot go and make our own laws.
Okay, great. Because I wanted to give answers. It didn't make sense to me. I mean, obviously companies are battling, and if you had to go to your staff and say, "Look, guys, please, we have to get back on our feet. We can't afford overtime, but can we work?" That's voluntary. But to make it compulsory with no pay, to me, not acceptable.
No. Now you're making a law. No, I'm fully in agreement with you. If there's a negotiation between the two parties, the employer and employee, and asking, can we compromise somewhere? Yes, we can do. But then I always say, do it in writing and all the parties sign to it. This gentleman agreement don't work for me anymore. A solid document with the signatures on there, and you say safe and sound. And then it don't look like you as the employer are making now law here. Sorry, you can't make law.
Okay, fabulous. No, that's great. Charles, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate your response.
It's a pleasure.
Charles, thanks a lot for your time. It seems as if the majority of questions have been answered. Ladies and gents, colleagues, thanks a lot. I'm going to end this meeting then. We will have a follow-up email within, I believe, early next week at the latest, providing more information. We'll take everything from there. Mr. Kinnear, thanks a lot for your much appreciated time. Everyone, have a good time and be safe. Charles?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for allowing me to address you. And let's keep our fingers crossed and hope for the best for tonight's address of the nation by our state president, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa. Thank you very much, gentlemen, ladies. Have a good day.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Enjoy your day. Be safe.
EECMS is introducing the first virtual employment equity compliance solution by taking your consultant online. Clients are no longer required to conduct face-to-face meetings with our consultants. Our virtual solution will allow clients from around the globe to interact, consult, and train with their respective consultants from the comfort of their own desk. With our web-based compliance services, your employment equity solution submissions and consultations will stay compliant as per the requirements of the Act, no matter where you are based. No more traveling or boardroom bookings. We bring the service to your desktop. Conduct conference calls with remotely based colleagues and superiors during the consult. Share live documents or screens to all attendees and consultants for brainstorming or clarification sessions. Audio-visually record meeting discussions between yourselves and the consultant for references and notes. Join the web-based consultancy services today and comply with your employment equity services from the comfort of your own desk. Speak to your consultant for more information or contact our information center for details on the services rendered. EECMS, your virtual employment equity compliance management service. EECMS utilizes an online tool to ensure full and total EE compliance as per the amended Act. We ensure that you are in full compliance with the Employment Equity Act. We do it all. You just need to connect with us as we aim to become your go-to guy. We meet and consult via our virtual solutions. We implement the Act, and you achieve compliance. Employers with over 50 employees. Agriculture over 6 million turnover, mining over 22.5 million turnover, manufacturing over 30 million turnover, electricity, gas and water over 30 million turnover, construction over 15 million turnover, retail and motor over 45 million turnover and more. Eliminate penalties. Increase a triple BEE score, forming a sense of belonging to employees. Effective transformation. And promoting diversity. We submit the EEA2 and EEA4 reports on behalf of our clients, after approval thereof by the CEO or accounting officer. EECMS has a Level 4 broad-based Black Economic Empowerment rating. Our clients therefore qualify for 100% recognition when procuring from us. Our CEO has been involved in various marketing and communication entities. We have various EE specialists, including a compliance auditor with 3 years' experience at one of the Big 4 auditing firms. Our team has been involved in 62 DG reviews from 2017 to September 2019, with a 100% pass rate of companies not being referred to the Labour Court. Submissions of reports are done by a number of experienced data capturers, and we have a staff complement to ensure the successful submissions of all our clients. We currently serve more than 160 companies who employ anything between 6,000 to 12,500 employees. Our client base includes private companies, listed companies, close corporations, non-profit organizations, educational institutions, and government. Clients' annual turnover ranges from very little to more than 1 billion rand, and we have a client base throughout South Africa. EECMS, your virtual employment equity compliance management service.